Good evening, everyone. My name is Adelina, and I'm from the Connect 4 team. With us, we also have my team member Ashwarya, and it is a great pleasure for us to welcome you to this event. As many of you might be aware, Connect 4 is a volunteering platform that matches and collects volunteers to NGOs based on skills and time preferences of volunteers as per NGO needs. We specifically curate customized volunteering engagements for both individuals and corporate organizations, keeping in mind the preferences of all our stakeholders. We have over 500 plus NGO partners across India and more than 24,000 volunteers. We work across different cause verticals such as environment, community development, education, etc. Before we begin, I would like to remind the participants to be on mute for the session to avoid any kind of background noise that may interfere with the event. However, if there are any questions that you would like us to answer, please share it on the chat option available to you. We will be doing a quick Q&A at the end of the session. You can also share your questions with us via the feedback form. In case we are unable to cater to all your relevant queries in the interest of time, we shall resolve them with you via email within a week. As a webinar that aim to ensure maximum interaction and learning, you can keep a note-taking tool in hand in case you like to note down any information or questions that would be helpful for you. Before we begin with today's session, I'd like to recap a few points we covered from our proposal writing webinar, which was scheduled on 24th of February. They are: proposals are basically key documents for NGOs. While the primary purpose of the proposal is to help secure fundings, it's important to understand that there are three main types of proposals: concept note, RPF proposal, engagement proposal. Focus on three things while writing proposal, that is project purpose, describing the output, long-term goals. We understood the framework, that is the structure, the right approach to address the needs and achieve good results, and to ensure accountability of proposals. The proposals should follow a clear logic and provide a detailed description of need and expected long-term goals to help understand the vision and mission. Create LFM logical framework model to refer to the details throughout the proposal lifecycle. We facilitate this webinar in collaboration with Sattva Consulting and an expert in nonprofit communication collaterals. We are also thrilled to be organizing a workshop on graphic design in collaboration with Shabam. The event is scheduled on 24th of March. Ashwarya from our Connect 4 team will also be sharing the details in the chat box shortly. Moving forward, we truly appreciate all our attendees for joining us today to learn more about our women-based NGOs. The aim of this webinar is to have an open forum for our nonprofits to share their overall journey and achievements in the past year and thus celebrate womanhood. We have with us Dr. Shraddha Kale Kapile and Asmati Sheikh from Maina Mahila Foundation. Dr. Shraddha is the program's lead Maina Health at the Maina Mahila Foundation. Though being a dentist by profession, she always had a passion to do something for society at the ground level and wished to do it in a more professional way. She has conducted more than 100 sessions and reached out to 10,000 girls and boys in the span of 6 months, educating them on menstrual hygiene. Asmati was a part of a sponsor girl program at Maina Mahila Foundation. She says that at Maina, they enabled her to transform her shy nature into a leader who advocates for women empowerment in her families and communities. She's now a part of the Teach India Men's team at Maina Mahila and aspires to be a social worker. Jyotika Bhatia, she's a founder of Shrutna Charitable Trust. Jyotika is a social entrepreneur by profession, working in the social sector for 11 years. Started at a young age, she co-founded two social enterprises. Her current enterprise, NGO Shrujna, has impacted more than 8,000 women across India. She's a winner of national and international awards for being an impactful social entrepreneur. She's passionate about bringing sustainable change to society at a global level. We also have with us Priya Varadarajan, founder of Durga NGO. She's also the lead for gender justice and persons with disabilities clusters within Azan Premji philanthropic initiatives. A chartered accountant by qualification, Priya has deep empathy for the vulnerable, particularly with women and girls who are survivors of gender-based violence and abuse. Her wish for women and girls to feel safe and empowered is what led to the birth of the Durga community. Our agenda for this particular panel discussion will be as follows. We'll be beginning with the leadership experiences of these leaders. journey towards creating an impact for women, impact the pandemic on the beneficiaries and their families, how have NGOs supported them in facing the challenges, and our collective responsibility towards women empowerment. Let us now begin. I would like to now invite Jyotika to share her thoughts on what made her decide to work for this cause.
Thank you so much for your warm welcome. And it's so lovely to see all these people joining for knowing more about women empowerment and celebrating the spirit of womanhood. My name is Jyotika, and as a warm welcome was introduction was given for me, I'm a co-founder and CEO of an organization called Surujana. You can see the name on my photo. This organization was started 10 years ago, fresh out of college. That was a time it was a passion project. So I, as a person, have always been a privileged child. When I say privilege, I've been born and brought up in a city like Mumbai, and I've always seen equality in my house. I have an elder brother. I've never faced anything like you cannot do this, you cannot do that. And growing up, I had a good childhood, good adulthood. I was doing my MBA from Narsi Monji, a good college, and had very fancy dreams of joining UN or corporate social responsibility department, because that's what we generally do, right? After MBA, having a good paycheck was always on the agenda. As part of MBA, I was required to do a 1 month internship with rescued victims of human trafficking, which I said it's just a month and I'll get me certificate to work for UN. So why not do it? But that was the turning point in my life. So when I was working with this rescued victims, 9, 10-year-old girls were there, and that bothered me. Second point was, I used to think 9, 10-year-old इनको क्या problem होगी. ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा they think about whether they want to how much marks they would get in examination, या मस्ती किया तो इनको डांट पड़ेगी, chocolate खाया तो दांत खराब होंगे. But here was a 9-year-old who knew there was a legal case going on her. She was rescued from a human trafficking act where her family had sold her off for certain rupees. She came up to me and said that all you are doing is interning, which is good. English, math, which is important. But my legal case is over. I will be thrown back to the same place you rescued me from. So neither she had a good past and neither she had hope for future. Shattered from that incident, I decided kuch to karna hai. And that's what how I started the organization. I call it my passion project because that's how it began. We gave them jewelry making training, artificial jewelry making. Being management students, we got some good stalls in corporate and we used to sell those products they made. And going forward, we researched that these are not just the case of rescued victim, but hundreds and lakhs of women across India are making some good product which are not reaching the market. So we decided to become a platform and started creating enterprises across India that make and sell handmade product. And these are 100% owned by women who are impacted by poverty, abuse, or human trafficking. So that in a nutshell is what my story is. And that's how we are working with more than 8,000 women right now.
Thank you so much, Jyotika. Let me now turn to Dr. Shraddha and Asmati. Um, how have the women from Maina Mahila been taking leadership opportunities for the growth of both the organization and the communities?
Thank you, Adelina. And it's great to see everyone here. And I was really touched by Jyotika's story. And I think, that turning point is really necessary for everyone to, have a shift towards a social cause. So coming to my question, we are a community-based organization and we are we are just a baby organization. It's just been 5 years that we have set up. A very, very long journey to go ahead more. When I say we are a community-based organization, all our centers are in the community, not just in geographical location-wise, but also like when we develop any program or, if we want to take some inputs, we see to it that we cater to the community. We see to it that we take the feedback from the community women. We introduce the program to them, take feedback from them, think about their perception, know what they want, do needs assessment. So, the base is that we learn from the community and then develop program according to the community's needs. So so I'll go stepwise with each program. So we have a PAT production unit at our Govandi Center. So the production staff that we have, they all are from the same community. So, there was a lack of employment in that community before, and hence we thought of starting with a PAT production unit. So people joined, the women have joined the PAT production unit as a source of income, okay? But on a positive note, what has happened, the stigma with periods is uplifted. So when they tell others, okay, where are you working? So, okay, I'm working at Maina Mela Foundation. What do you do? Okay, I'm in the PAT production unit. So this source of income has no longer, made them feel ashamed. It's not something that is making them feel ashamed of that they were before, because now it's a source of income for them. Okay, now after they have started earning here, they learned more about periods. They learn more about its taboo, stigma, the process about it. They are more empowered because now they have a financial stability. They have a say in their family, and now, since they understand this, we have a next step coming up, that's door to door. So these PAT production unit, they just don't produce PAT, they go door to door and explain the importance of, why periods occur, the do's and don'ts, how to take precaution, because they hail from the same community. So they have faced similar problems that other women are facing. So they are the right people to convince others, about the taboo and stigma. So that comes like, that's the door-to-door process. Then we have education sessions that are going on at Maina Mela Foundation. We have two programs. One is Teach Menses India, one is Sponsor a Girl. Teach Menses India deals with both men, women, girls, boys. And Sponsor a Girl program is mostly related to just girls. It's more of Teach Menses India is more of an educational program, and Sponsor a Girl is more of educational plus accessibility. We give a 3-month or a 6-month kit to one particular girl. So here we involve both boys, girls, men. We also have, sponsor a sister event at Raksha Bandhan where we, include brothers also and tell them about this period process. And then, they kind of connect it with their mothers or their sisters. अरे हाँ मेरी, हाँ मेरी बहन को महीने में एक बार तो बीमार गिरनी है, or she gets an excuse, like, she gets to sleep a lot, and then, I have to wake up at morning 6 o'clock और पूजा को बैठना है मुझे. Why does she doesn't have to attend that puja? So, various questions that arise in their mind are answered in a particular way when they attend the session, and then they realize the importance. So that becomes education session. Then we have a fellowship program. So here we have, girls who attend our Sponsor a Girl program or Teach Menses India program who want to join us back. They come to us and then we enroll them in our fellowship program. Here, these girls, there are many dropout girls as well who are in this program. So here, these girls learn a lot. They learn right from, operating laptops, speaking out. There are shy girls. So Azmati is one of, our a girl who attended the Sponsor a Girl program, and then she joined us through our fellowship program, and she recently got promoted to leader. So we have a cadre level at a fellowship program. So she was a fellow before, but now she is a Maina leader, and she's very proud of that. She always, it reminds me, Shraddha Didi, abhi main fellow nahi hu, abhi main leader ban gayi hu karke, and I also feel, very proud of that. So I think Azmati would want to share a lot on that. Yes, Azmati, आप बात करना चाहोगे?
हेलो, मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
Yes, Asmati.
हाँ, तो जैसे कि दीदी ने बताया कि हमारे यहाँ ऐसे बहुत सारे प्रोग्राम होते हैं, स्पॉन्सर कर TMI है जिसमें हमको और सारी लड़कियों को हेल्थ के ऊपर बताया जाता है, पीरियड के ऊपर बताया जाता है. तो एक बार ऐसे ही जब मैं स्पॉन्सर गर्ल के लिए आई तो मैंने पीरियड के बारे में सुना और देखा. फिर उसके बाद मुझे ऑफिस में, मतलब वहाँ मैना महिला फाउंडेशन में ऑफिस में ऐसे ही आने का मेरा मन करता था, क्योंकि वहाँ पे पूरी सबके सब लेडीज थी, औरत थी, तो मुझे वहाँ बहुत कंफर्टेबल लगता था. तो मैं सोचती थी कि मैं भी यहाँ पर आकर काम करूँ फिर देखूँ कि ये क्या होता है, कैसे होता है। तो फिर जब मैं न्यू ज्वाइन की तो मुझे कुछ भी नहीं आता था, कुछ भी नहीं आता था। तो लेकिन ज्वाइंट होने के बाद मुझे बहुत सारी चीज़ें सीखने को मिला कि ऑफिस में कैसे काम करते हैं, कैसे हम लैपटॉप वगैरह को ऑपरेट करते हैं, कैसे हम गूगल फॉर्म्स बनाते हैं। मुझे शीट बनाना नहीं आता था, पर अभी मैं 3-4 शीट्स जो है वो हैंडल करती हूँ। जो कॉलिंग के शीट आते हैं वो हैंडल करती हूँ। पैकेट्स कितने जा रहे हैं हमारे सेशन में, उसकी शीट मैं हैंडल करती हूँ। फिर इतने सारे शीट मैं अभी हैंडल करती हूँ। तो मैं वो खुद में वो बदलाव देख के ना मुझे खुद के ऊपर एकदम अच्छा लगता है कि पहले मुझे कुछ भी नहीं आता था, मैं एकदम से मतलब कुछ ही नहीं आता था, लेकिन अभी मुझे बहुत कुछ आता है और मैं हर रोज नया नया सीखती हूँ। फिर मतलब कि ऑफिस में मुझे डॉक्टर श्रद्धा हमेशा कहते थे कि असगती प्रोफेशनल बिहेव करो, क्योंकि मैं हमेशा जैसे बच्चों जैसा कुछ भी जो मन में आया वही करती थी। लेकिन मुझे डॉक्टर श्रद्धा की बात हमेशा वो बोलते थे, असमति प्रोफेशनल बिहेवियर करो, ऑफिस में कैसे रहते हैं। तो मुझे वो सब फिर अभी अभी मेरे अंदर इतना चेंज आया कि हाँ मुझे लगता है कि हाँ अब मैं भी ऑफिस में काम करती हूँ और मुझे आगे बढ़ना चाहिए। और मेरे अंदर ऐसा लगता है हर रोज नया चेंज आता ही रहता है, मैं हर दिन नए नई चीजें सीखती हूँ। मुझे पहले मैं कभी ट्रैवलिंग नहीं करती थी, तो अभी जब मैं ऑफिस में आई तो फिर मुझे यहाँ हर जगह जाना रहता था डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करने के लिए। तो वहाँ पे कैसे हमको रिक्शा बुलाना है या उनसे कैसे बात करनी है, ये सब भी मुझे नहीं आता था। फिर मुझे नई नई जगह पता चली कि हमारे एरिया में इतने सारे स्लम्स एरिया, इतने सारे झोपड़पट्टी। मैं 10 साल गोवंडी में रही, पर मुझे नहीं पता था कि इतने सारे स्लम्स एरिया और इतनी गरीबी वहाँ पर है। लेकिन जब मैं मैना में आई तो मुझे बहुत जगह जाने मिला, बहुत सारी जगह देखने को मिला कि एक्चुअली कम्युनिटी में क्या हो रहा है, नहीं हो रहा है। तो उससे फिर मुझे लोगों से कैसे बात करनी है, कैसे कम्युनिकेट करना है, ये सब मुझे मैंने से सीखा। मैंने दीदियों से सीखा, सारी दीदियां कैसे बातें करती है, वैसे सब मेरे अंदर बहुत सारी चीजें आई। और मैं इंशाल्लाह और भी बहुत कुछ सीखते जाऊंगी। अभी मैं मैना लीडर बनी हूँ। मैं सोच रही हूँ कि लीडर सिर्फ नाम एक होना चाहिए, बाकी जो हम है वो बस एक इंसान के हम हमसे कितने लोगों की मदद हो सके, इतना ये बस हमको सोचना चाहिए कि हम कितने लोगों की मदद कर सकते हैं।
Yes, and आपका ये जो last sentence है ना reminded me of this book, The Leader Without a Title, and I think कि आप वही हो। आप you may not have a title as such, but you're definitely a leader as Mateen. And आपके लिए special clap emoji मैं यहाँ पर डालती हूँ। Seriously, truly inspiring. आपका story देख के मुझे बहुत inspire feel हो रहा है। And thank you so much for sharing, Azmati and Dr. Shraddha. I'd like to now direct my next question to Priya. What are a few of the biggest challenges that Durga is facing currently?
Sure. Thank you so much, both of you, Aishwarya and Adelina and Connect for the opportunity. And so lovely to listen to Jyotika, Azmati and Dr. Shraddha. Azmati, आपके बाद तो मुझे कुछ बोलने की जरूरत ही नहीं है, कोई challenge ही नहीं दिख रहा है, अभी सब बंद हो गया है. Okay, so coming to the question, so when I'm talking about a challenge, I'm going to be talking about it more from an issue of, say, safety perspective, because that's the core of our work. So within Durga, what we do is we believe that the problem of safety for women and girls is not their problem, but it's everybody's problem. And so we have to work with everyone around to make sure that women and girls are safe and they're able to lead their lives the way they rightfully should. So the challenge is it's in itself there, the approach itself is a challenge, because we're coming from a very rights-based approach. We're saying that it's my right to be safe and I will do what I want to do wherever, whenever, however, with whoever, and I just want to be. So that in itself becomes a huge challenge as an approach. Second is to get women and girls to realize that they have to be safe, and if at all they have an issue of sexual harassment or abuse or violence, it is not their mistake, because victim blaming, victim shaming, taking responsibility for things which don't even belong to us has all been a conditioning, of how we bring up girls. historically. So just to get that burden out of a woman or a girl itself is a huge challenge. And then to make her believe that it's your right is a huger challenge. And if the first two work, then getting them to be a part of a community where you're only thinking for them and thinking with them for a world that is new and beautiful and just made for them is the next challenge, because they don't have the time to come and give to a space like this, so these become a big challenge when we're directly working with women and girls. The second is when we're working with others, the others being the bystanders, people who are with me. So if I feel unsafe on this call right now, then the 15 participants in this webinar are my bystanders. Now you all have to be active. You all need to make sure that you play your role with your responsibility to make sure I don't get violated, I don't feel vulnerable, and I am able to bring my confident best. So engaging with these bystanders, getting them to acknowledge that they have a role, that they have a responsibility to play in my safety becomes another challenge, because one bystander who can intervene can completely change the dynamics of any scene of crime, right? So that's another challenge, to get the community to participate. The next thing is for people at large to take ownership and say that if someone has a problem, it is our problem. It's a community that needs to come together and work towards it, and not say that you did the wrong thing, you were in the wrong bus, why did you get out late, why were you wearing these clothes, why were you with a boyfriend, all these put together, you deserve what you got. So if, as long as communities are judgmental, and if communities continue to sort of throw back responsibility at the individual, nothing can work. If all of this works, then the next challenge is the system itself. So how does the system, you have so many laws, you have the Act for POSH, which is not there in any other country, which is so exclusive for India. Then we have such a fantastic act like the POXO. Then we have so many acts under the IPC for sexual abuse and violence called outraging the modesty of women and all of that. But implementation never happens, right? So implementation doesn't happen, awareness is not there. So if something happens to me, I don't even know if it is against the law. I don't even know I have to go somewhere. If I know I have to go somewhere, who picks up my case? Very, very insensitive police. So we have walked up to police stations with people who, have had issues, and the police say, but I saw you standing with a boy in the park. If you have a boyfriend, then obviously someone else is going to come and group you. So if you have people responding like this, then how will you raise an issue? So raising an issue of crime is important for addressing and reducing crime. So the system doesn't work, and that becomes the third challenge. Last but not the least are the spaces that we occupy. If I occupy a space, is that space safe for me? Is it well lit? Is there security guards? Is there perhaps a CCTV camera? Is there some way in which I can, raise an issue? Like, is there a bell or an alarm? How do I raise an issue? All of this needs to be there. So if I say all of this put together, they're all basically, things that are around me to make me feel like a Durga. So I should want to be a Durga. I should have a community that nurtures me. I need to have a system that enables me. I need to have a space that sort of fortifies my strength, all of this. If all this worked also, there are others that have to play a role, which are the other factors that help. And I'm sure both Jyotika and Shraddha will resonate with me because they run organizations. Funding. If you're talking about gender-based violence or gender justice, no one's going to give you money, because nobody wants gender justice in some sense, because you're talking about who runs philanthropies and who runs donor organizations, largely run by men who have been in corporate and leading. They don't understand the issue of justice. They don't like equality because it scares them when you're talking about equality of men and women. So then how do you build a donor ecosystem that actually nurtures civil society to build access to rights for women and people of other gender identities, right? So that's a big challenge. Then who are your allies? How do you work with men? How do you make men responsible and accountable and tell them, if you and I have to be equal, then you need to give up your privileges. Nobody wants to, right? So in a nutshell, all of this, and all organizations like Srijna and Dr. Shraddha's organization, us in Durga, many, many more of us, we should work together. what happens is we come from different positions, we talk differently, our alignment is never there. We are all competing for the same set of donors. So there's competition and not collaboration. So these are some of the things I feel that really come in the way for good people to do some great work and actually bring some change. I hope that was helpful. Thank you.
That was absolutely beautiful. I mean, I'm so glad that you spoke about both like individual, societal, and systemic responsibilities and challenges. Keeping this in mind, how have your programs changed during the beginning, since the beginning of the pandemic?
Our programs changed dramatically because all our work is using theater and sort of having an offline connect, because we want people to feel connected and together. And the way we discuss the issue of sexual abuse and violence is with fun, laughter, and connection. And we had to really, we were running helter skelter like headless chicken, understanding what we should do and how in a situation which is all remote. So we spent a lot of time during the pandemic, the first couple of months, really figuring this out, because we knew none of our work is going to be the same. We work with juvenile homes, we work with girls in POXO homes, we work with really underprivileged children who are like, anytime they get into the wrong side of law. So we need to work to prevent them from getting into that space. And all of this has to be done offline. How can you go into a juvenile home through a online mode? And all those children who are all basically serving sentence or punishment were all sent home on bail because they couldn't be accommodated there. So we had to lose work there for a large part of 8-9 months. But the others who were in the shelter homes and the schools, we started going and figuring out how much more to work. We made audio modules. We started, like, if we were to do a module with 30 children at one shot, we had to do it like 6 times because we could only take 5 children at a time. So the same module had to be done 6 times, and it was really difficult for the facilitator. We had to address mental health issues, which was not something that we were doing regularly. So how do you understand mental health and well-being? How do you start having those conversations? Because it's very connected with the pandemic, it's very connected with gender-based violence. So we actually started ramping up our own knowledge and capacity building on the issue of mental health. Maybe that happened for the good, because eventually we should have gone there. We had to do a crash course in some sense because of the pandemic. So what we started doing was doing a lot of newer programs and connecting with youth, essentially the kind of communities you connect with and connect for, youngsters, passionate, excited, they want to do something. You just leave them there and say, you have the power, and they're like, yes, and we can do it. And like how, so powerful, so beautifully, so much with motivation and empathy. So our connect with youth really picked up. So we created an online community called Voice Out, which was a group of people who started looking at trolling, because everyone's world became online, right? So this community is across India trying to build safe spaces online, trying to reduce cybercrime and harassment, flagging posts. So in a month, they were flagging like 1,000 posts to say that they are inappropriate and they should be removed, disrespectful, not value-based, unrequired, that kind of stuff. So that community has become really strong. What we also started was what we call Durga Listens, which is a community to actually address issues that people would start to have because they are living in silos. बात करने के लिए कोई नहीं है, right? Whom do you go and talk to? As a child in school, I had my friends to talk to about issues I was suffering at home or my way from home to school or college or whatever. Today in the pandemic, I'm stuck with my people who are not the people I want to hang around with. So that forum was started, and we expanded it to the queer community to talk about their issues of health and access to hormone medicines, or even, just livelihood, because a lot of the transgender community work on begging or sex work, and both of it stopped. So how do they build their lives and livelihood? So we started working there. And so the online community really helped to have those conversations. Next, as our program on bystander engagement, where are the bystanders? They were on the road and now they're all missing because they were our samosa wala, chai wala, cigarette wala. Everyone who has business on the street are the people we work with, but they had no business on the street. So we started doing humanitarian work with them and actually engage so much deeper with them that today, even if we tell them ki chalo bhul jao sab kuch aur apne kaam pe dhyan do, they'll say, no, I have a responsibility to make my lane safe, because that much they've got this whole thing ingrained, So we moved there. We also did an online event, which is definitely the largest in India and perhaps a large part of the world, called Engage, which is Next Gen Advocates for Gender Equity. It was an online 3-day event as a reiteration or reinforcement of the 16 days of activism, which ends on December 10th, which is also the Global Human Rights Day. So we started on 10th and worked till 12th with speakers from across India talking about the issue of gender justice from a very, very different, grounds up view. And we had like over 2,200 youth participate in it over 3 days of really, really exciting conversation that we've now decided we will do it every year. And we need, of course, all your support and stuff to do it this year as well. And Azmati kind of people should be speaking in that conference. So these are some of the things that we've done. And we're really hoping that, while we've invented and things like this, innovated all of this, we want to go back to our normal world, which was about touch, feel, and the typical Indian way of doing things, because that's where all the fun remains. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Priya. For me, it's great to hear that, like how you involve multiple people, multiple communities in this particular work that you're doing, and even the way that you've completely expanded, especially during the pandemic, and reached out to even more people. And based on this, I believe even Maina Mahila has digitally enabled their women, especially during the recent crisis. And hence, my next question is for Dr. Shraddha. How have you used technology in supporting the women from these disadvantaged communities at Maina Mahila?
So it was really tough during COVID times, especially if you know that, Govandi was, a containment zone. So, we couldn't even have gathering, as Priya said, panch ke group mein bulakar, you used to hold sessions. We couldn't even do that because we were right in the containment zone. But, we had to do something. We tried many steps. We tried doing webinars, we tried doing Instagram lives, we tried to find which platforms are the community people using, and then we realized that इनके पास तो data pack ही नहीं है. They're facing a lot of other issues, and hence, after trying several platforms, we thought that, but we had to do something, right? So we thought, let's call everyone personally. And, our first focus was to first address the do's and don'ts during COVID, because, if you must have heard in news, Govandi was like a complete hustle bustle area during COVID times. There were people beating up the police and not listening to others, not wearing masks and everything. So we had to first step was to call each and every beneficiary. So we had created a whole research team. We had a lot of research fellows, volunteers who joined us. We made them call each and every beneficiary of us and explain them the do's and don'ts during COVID. It also gave the beneficiary an opportunity to get more insights to the pandemic, because half of the things they believe that it were rumors. So they had a lot of questions to ask, and then they were personally attended through these calls, so they were quite satisfied. Then secondly, we then had our helpline number active, where if they had, obviously Maina till then was very famous that we are working with the issue of menstruation, so we had many people asking for pad relief, so we had to do that drive once. Then we had we thought that let's develop something that girls, young girls use more often. So we thought of developing an app, so it wouldn't stop any kind of communication or the education that we want to give them. So we've developed a Maina Health app where we have all the related videos related to the health of a girl, whatever knowledge she wants, whatever information she wants, she can gain it through this app. We also have a telehealth service at this app, so she can book an online doctor's appointment. If that's not possible for her, she can come to the center, and then we set up a private chamber for her, and then she talks to the doctor here. We also have a private chat with the doctor, so sometimes it's difficult for her to express on call with her her brothers or fathers, around her. If she wants to mention something around, her discharge or, her menses or some other issues, then it becomes difficult for her to speak out loud. So then she privately chats with the doctor here. So we have, we've faced roadblocks here as well, because, usually the male members of the family have the smartphones and female members share it. So again, the roadblock here was, girl was feeling shy to install this app on her brother's phone or on her father's phone. And then again, we had to come up to a, conclusion that, okay, let's try it with what we have, and then slowly and steadily we can create a pin that she can, set it up for herself. So we are trying it out in our own ways. But I would definitely like to say that nothing meets the personal connect that we have during the session, as Priya rightly said. Especially when we are dealing with a topic of menstruation, where there is a lot of taboo and stigma around it, and we need to make them feel comfortable in that zone. We have to share our own personal experiences with our periods, and then she starts relating to it, that okay, this is common. So here I would want to share one experience. So when I was giving, conducting a session on menstruation, there was one girl, after the whole session ended, she came up to me and she's asking me, there are worms passing from my vagina since past 1 week. And now since I've attended your session, I'm realizing that this is something not normal, but till then I thought ki ye sabko hota hoga karke. So these kind of things where they don't even know what's normal and what's abnormal. And then I had to ask her, did you speak to your mother? And then she's like, nahi, mujhe sharam aa rahi thi. And then I was like, okay. So that's how, that personal connect, we cannot do it through through technology. But we tried our ways, due to COVID and being in containment zone, we just did not have any other option. But yeah, I can happily say that, I had many private chats, during these times, where girls were asking me a lot of questions, and I was really happy answering them that, okay, they are using this platform some way or the other. Then they might have figured out their own ways ki chal iski hai to baju wali friend will also join and ask or something like that. But yeah, we had many queries through chat. So I think that part kind of worked. So yeah, we've tried our best, but I don't know, we are still figuring out the other roadblocks as to how to have the data packs and make the girls and ensure that they are connected online.
Yeah, I guess we can say we're all in this together in a way. Jyotika, what about you? What are some of the changes that Shrujna had to go through in order to survive and thrive in the current circumstances with their women?
So, fortunately for us, COVID has been a boon. I would say it has been a blessing in disguise. Srujna had been trying to expand in different cities because of the high need for women to have flexible work options since a very long time. When the pandemic hit us, everything was shut and we couldn't go to physically to the centers. Yet our women had a dire need for earning a regular income. We said nothing doing, we have to go online and start training programs. So the first thing we started doing is getting a lot of volunteers. In fact, we got some volunteers from Connect 4 also, who took digital literacy sessions for our women, which means simple how to use video conferencing apps or how to use WhatsApp video calling, how to use Paytm or digital banking applications, etc. This was utmost important and useful because not just it helped them to grow and survive their business, but also how to have their children attend their schools or how to communicate with their supervisors or trainers who were sitting in other part of the slum community, because even in slum community they were not allowed to go out at all. It also helped them connect with us and say that we have a requirement of ration or there is a COVID patient in our house, etc., etc. So that was the first step. The second step, what we started was we started a distribution drive. So we could all see that after a period of 5 months of lockdown, everyone became relaxed, especially needy community. They were not wearing mask on the road, or they were just lax about kuch nahi hone wala hai, and we don't need to have all these things. One of the reason we found out was the money, because masks were 10 rupees, 15 rupees, a good 2-layer mask for protection. And we thought, why not, this is a good opportunity. So what we did was have our donors give us donation for making masks, which we distributed for free across India. So we have distributed to almost like 1.7 lakh individuals, and all the masks were made by women. So they started earning a regular income out of that, and we are going to continue this project for 1 more year. जब तक सबको मास्क पहनना, I'm sure there will be a need to make mask and distribute mask for free. And the third thing that we started off is, now it was physically impossible as to monitor how was the quality of products that they were making. So we started doing video WhatsApp calls of how the samples are being made. And it was very beautiful to see our team members sitting in Mumbai monitoring and evaluating how the masks are being made in Kashmir, Baramulla base camp, army base camp. And then the entire procedure of distribution was being looked on upon through Zoom, video conferencing, etc. So that's how we connected all the dots. The donors were happy they could visit the field without being physically present. The women were happy they were getting continuous income because of income generation. And we were also able to transfer all our training online, helping us expand in 5 new cities.
Yeah, it's great to see like how with the pandemic we have all made digital empowerment a huge priority and focus, something that I think most of us haven't been quite focusing on until then. So, based on this, Jyotika, how has Shrujna supported the women facing challenges in both their personal and professional lives?
So, Srujana, what we realize in our 10-year journey is just income generation is not important. Like skill-based training program we could give them and then not give them jobs or connect them to market is as dreadful as not giving women enough knowledge about, as rightly said, about menstrual hygiene or about domestic violence, about their rights, about banking applications, simple things like M indicator, how to use trains, Google Map, etc. So what we became when we became a platform, we started connecting with a lot of not-for-profits who were doing genuine and great work, and said that, hey, do you do domestic violence webinars or seminars to orient the women? And we got them on board. So periodically we started having those seminars, and as a result of that, some women used to come and confide in us. This happens with me. Like I make a mistake, my husband beats up. And we were astonished to hear that story after we never thought that income generation and those were linked. And we also heard story when women started earning an income, the entire group, cohesive group of women went to the other women's house and threatened the husband, you dare touch her now. And we will teach you a lesson. We'll take you to the police station. So all this was awareness that was done by all these one-off activities and simple camps that we used to do. We had held a lot of health seminars with the help of doctors who devoted their time generously for free. So these were women who had children but never gone to doctors, midwives, and with the local nurses, they delivered their babies. And they were like, we have iron deficiency, calcium deficiency, we have XYZ disease. And I'm like, of course, you have to go and see a doctor. So such kind of, now they have started investing in health, they started investing in children's education. We teach English, spoken English training online, so they will make their children sit and say, you also study, and the children would say, let's study together, I will also teach you English. So such kind of modules along with income generation are important, which will lead to a sustainable holistic development rather than just focusing on kitna paisa kamaya.
Thank you so much, Jyotika. We could now have Priya sharing her insights to the next question. Uh, Before which we will look at the chat box in case any of our attendees or participants have any kind of questions, you can, for the panel, can post it in the Zoom chat box right here. So yeah, Priya, who are some of the other stakeholders who are involved in bringing about the impact at Durga?
So impact, I think, is a very big word. I don't think we've gone there yet because all we've been doing is putting in a lot of effort with conviction that if we are at it consistently, then something will change at some point because it's a lot of attitudinal and behavior change that we're looking at. And it's a lot of prevention work. So we don't know how to really honestly measure impact there. But we've had like a lot of stakeholders with whom we've been able to get to where we are. So, for instance, a lot of work done in public spaces. and within public spaces itself, public transport. So we were the first to actually put panic alarms in buses so that you increase the need for bystanders to intervene when someone is having an issue of sexual harassment in a bus. So now what we've done just during International Women's Day, because it was a one-year project of planning and ideating and stuff, we've launched what we call Box It, which is basically to increase opportunities for women to go and box their complaint in public spaces. So this again is a joint initiative by us and the transport providers. They're called BMTC, Bangalore Metropolitan Transport Company. And it's a quasi-government organization. And so it's been a long and a big deal for us, because our partnership with this organization has been for about 5-6 years, from the alarms to working with the drivers and conductors. They actually even gave us buses. So they would give us a driver, conductor, and the bus, which I could take wherever I want, to bring participants inside and talk about issues of sexual harassment and how one can deter. So without them, we couldn't have done anything as far as the kind of work that we're doing today. In fact, they've helped us by leveraging Nirbhaya funds, and now we're trying to do the Box It from that effort itself. And to get a government agency to look at a civil society organization's idea and then get funding and then give it to us is a very big deal, I feel. So so hats off to that partnership with them. Second is also the Bangalore, the Brihat Bangalore, metropolitan service, which is the like your the service which is your like civic authorities, right? Who the BMC kind of equivalent. So what they do is, with them, we've been able to engage very deeply with the Paurakarmika women, the waste picker community, and they have been active.
Excuse me, Priya, we're unable to hear you. I think we lost your audio for a second.
Is this okay now?
It's better. Thank you.
Yeah. So we've been working with them to work with the waste picker community. And just 2 weeks ago, one of the waste picker women has actually deterred an acid attack because she was an active bystander in public space. So thank you so much to that department as well. Then, of course, trying to work with men as our allies. Without these people, we can't continue to work on, issues of manspreading and mansplaining and explaining this to them, and unconscious bias and our programs around it. Unless we have active participation from them, it doesn't really work well. Again, thanks again to civil society partners, because civil society partners we actively seek to collaborate with, because always what they're working on, because of some nuanced way in which they would work with, like
Priya, we lost you again. Excuse.
Now?
Yes.
Okay. So just to hear like what their approach is, like Dr. Shraddha's approach was during the lockdown, of how they reach their messages, or how Jyotika was talking about how they sort of optimize their reach through technology and things like that. So everything is a learning. And so civil society is a huge learning space. And then finally,
yes, Priya.
Again gone. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm really sorry. I'm not sure why. Youth, I would just like to stop by saying that youth have been really, really our key people, because we're looking at them as our leaders, someone who will take the baton and take forward issues of gender justice, where we don't want to start with patriarchal norms and practices all from start. So these people have really, I mean, this group has really, really been our huge pillars of strength. Thank you so much, and sorry about this internet.
No worries. Thank you so much, Priya. And as I mentioned earlier, right, we really get taken, like blown away by the different kind of committees they're involved with, not just like the beneficiaries, the committees, but also like the other governing bodies too, and even youth. And that, I think that's really important to kind of like, I think that's a way where we can kind of like stop the cycle or break the cycle in some way or the other. And of course, it's important to even involve people of from all genders in this particular conversation, how we can kind of make each other feel more safe and empowered. So moving forward, I'd like to now have Dr. Shraddha and Azmati to comment on why do you think we need to involve multiple people in this conversation of women empowerment?
Okay. I think we need to involve multiple people in this conversation because multiple people affect women empowerment. When I say multiple people, it comes to our society, religion, culture. It includes all. So I think Priya would agree more, when I say your right stops at law. So under Domestic Violence Act, you might be getting like lot of the law states something. The law, suppose the law states that the survivor can stay at her matrimonial place even after she registers the complaint, but her right stops at law because she won't stay there, because she doesn't feel safe, because that's not accepted, right? So it's more of acceptance. So we need to involve these multiple people. So Priya would agree when I say that when you take these when you take these sessions, you just don't take them with women, right? Sexual harassment sessions or gender equity or something, you'll have to involve men, because we need to tell them also. Sexual harassment, maybe a man doesn't feel that whistling on streets is a kind of sexual harassment, maybe he doesn't know about it. Okay, maybe he doesn't have, but it would, like so the intention behind giving this to men is that whatever is perceived by the woman as not acceptable goes under sexual harassment, right? So but the men needs to know about it. Similarly, in our case, when it's menstrual hygiene, even boys and men or husbands and brothers, they need to know what's going on. They need to know why there are emotional disturbances. They need to know about PMS. They need to know what physical changes a girl goes through. They need to know everything about it, since they don't experience it, right? And when will that happen? When the girls are open to talk about it. So it's a two-way process. Since men don't experience menstruation, we need to talk about it. And again, we need to talk. We will only be able to talk about it when the society helps us feel comfortable talking about it and doesn't shun us for that, right? So it's a two-way thing. Hence, we are supposed to involve. So society, so like as I mentioned earlier also to Adelina when we were talking, that when you're born a girl, you don't know how to behave. The society teaches you that acha baal lambe rakhne hain, nazakat honi chahiye, and figure hona chahiye, and smiling very softly, not laughing loud, boys don't cry. ये सब कहाँ से आया है? This is all society. Boys अगर रोते भी हैं तो it is like अरे क्या लड़की के जैसा रोता है. You're shunning them, but they also have emotions. They face heartbreaks. उनकी मम्मी बीमार पड़ती है, पापा को कुछ हो जाता है, बहन की विदाई में I think brother is the one who cries a lot, but उसको भी बाथरूम में जाके रोना पड़ता है because society says boys don't cry. So our main aim here is to tell that, society is no one to decide what's right, what's wrong. Just do what you want to do. Just follow your ambition, follow your path. Society आपके इधर वैसे भी in any which ways आपको point out करने ही वाली है. But once we give examples like Sanjeev Kapoor, we give examples of Mary Kom. So Sanjeev Kapoor, even I sometimes feel that he must have also faced so much of issues. Like मेरे time पे, when I was small, I used to see Khana Khazana, and I'm sure that time boys entering kitchen would also be a taboo, like अरे क्या है, क्या कर रहा है काम करके. But when that guy became successful, there are people giving examples telling that अरे ये तो हमारी community से है और ये तो हमारे गांव से or something like that. Same must have happened with Mary Kom also, right? So the society that tries to pull you down, अगर आप successful बनते हो, it's the same society that hails you, right? So it is upon you. There is no work that a girl can't do, and there's nothing that a boy can't do. और ऐसा भी नहीं है कि ये girls का काम है या ये boys का काम है. So and biology will not play a role anywhere. Like biology will not determine the quality of the person. So that's what we always try to tell at Maina Mehla. So hence, when you talk about why is it necessary, it is necessary because it is the society, the culture, the religion that have its own creative ways we've all the religion, I'll not say like, I can't say religion, because I think religious leaders have their own creative ways of oppressing women somehow, some or the other way. It's always best that if you feel something, I always tell during my sessions also, if you feel that there is certain things written in your religion or your, holy book, go and read the holy book. Don't depend on the religious leaders, and translate something for you. Read it for yourself and interpret it for yourself. Azmati was a very shy girl when she had joined Maina, but and she also has done her madrasa, so she reads Holy Quran as well. So when I used to take sessions, तो Azmati मुझे accompany करती थी ये sessions में, and then she used to hear, and then we had few women or girls from Islam also, that नहीं ये तो नापाक होता है, and how is that possible. And then there was a drastic change that I saw in Azmati at times used to come up and speak, nahi क्या आपने कुरान पढ़ी है, मैंने पढ़ी है, and she used to tell exactly chapter wise कि इसमें ऐसे लिखा है, ऐसा नहीं लिखा है. And I feel very, I feel I am very happy when I see that transformation, in person, because she has developed critical thinking. Now she exactly knows what is written in Quran, and she exactly knows how to translate it, and she knows, like, critical thinking में she knows कि अच्छा ये ऐसा लिखा है, ऐसा नहीं लिखा है कि औरतें नापाक होती है, ऐसा लिखा है that whoever is bleeding, so even if it is a boy who is bleeding due to any cut or accident or something, he cannot offer prayers because of few reasons, like you might go anemic, and you might feel dizzy because you're losing blood. So that is the reason, and that's what Azmati could rightly identify, and plus explain it to the to our participants, which obviously being a non-Muslim, I couldn't. But what I always say is that, okay, go back, read your holy book for yourself, and don't tell me what the religious leaders have said. We always tell them that, okay, there are so many taboos. Achar kharab ho jata hai, papad lal pad jate hain, and God knows what. So we tell them, okay, you try and practice it. You try it and tell me, come with a lal papad, and you come to me and tell me that देखो ये मैंने periods में touch किया है, and then that is why the papad turned lal. So we are open for everything, and we tell this to boys also. I have, like, when I conduct a co-ed session in schools and colleges, believe me, I have to given lots of efforts to convince the professors of the schools and colleges as well to take a co-ed session. But boys, youngsters, as as Priya said, they are the biggest pillars and biggest supporters. Boys are like, क्यों ऐसा होता है, क्यों टेंपल में नहीं एंटर करने होते हैं. Then when they know about it, when they know the process, they are, हाँ ये तो बराबर है, फिर हमारे मम्मी पापा ऐसे क्यों करते हैं. And then they go in a rebellious way, like कि नहीं ये तो नहीं होना चाहिए, ऐसा तो ये तो बिल्कुल गलत है, and everything. And then I have to calm them that ठीक है, that doesn't mean that you go at home and fight with your parents, because they have lived with it since like 35-40 years. They have practiced it since 35-40 years. तो एक टाइम का सेशन और आपका rebellious nature is not going to create any change. What we can always do is concentrate on the next generation. See to it that you don't pass it on to the next generation, and see to it that you spread more awareness. Okay, so these are the things why I feel multiple people should be involved. Mother-in-laws, father-in-laws, brothers, sisters, other genders, everyone should be involved in this, because it's not just women's issue, it's like everyone's issue. We are connected to everyone. So I think Azmati would like to speak more on this. Azmati, आप इस पे बात करना चाहते हो कि क्यों दूसरे लोगों को इन्वॉल्व होना चाहिए वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट में.
हाँ, कि जैसे कि आपने कहा दीदी कि हर इंसान एक दूसरे से कनेक्ट है ना. हर एक इंसान दूसरे से कनेक्ट है, सबके पास इमोशंस है. तो अगर हम एक दूसरे को नहीं समझेंगे, चाहे वो जेंडर अलग अलग क्यों ना हो, पर लेकिन इंसान एक ही है, सबके इमोशंस एक है. तो हमको चाहिए कि हम एक दूसरे की, जैसे औरत एक दूसरे का दुख समझते हैं, तो इसी तरह से मर्द और औरत भी एक दूसरे का दुख समझ सकते हैं. जैसे भाई बहन भाई और बहन का इतना ज्यादा नहीं रहता कि वो आपस में इतनी सारी बातें शेयर करते हैं। तो मैं लेकिन चाहती हूँ कि हर एक लोग है जो अपने बहनों से जो ज्यादा बात करते हैं वो अपने भाई से भी बात करे, उनको भी बताए कि हमको क्या प्रॉब्लम होती है नहीं होती है। अगर सच्ची में अगर वो जानेंगे तो फिर उनको भी फील होगा हाँ कि मेरी बहन को कितनी तकलीफ होती है। तो फिर वो उस चीज को अपने से कनेक्ट करेंगे, दूसरों लोगों को बताएंगे। फिर और भी जितने भी लोग हैं अगर हम ही उनको नहीं बताएंगे, और स्टार्टिंग से ही जब हम अपने समाज में पैदा होते हैं तो हमको स्टार्टिंग से ही जो रूल्स रेगुलेशंस होते हैं वो हमको बता दिए जाते हैं कि नहीं आप ऐसे रहो ऐसे रहो ऐसे रहो। तो वो चीज बाहर नहीं निकल पाती जो रियल में होनी चाहिए। जैसे कि रियल में एकता होनी चाहिए, वैसे नहीं हो पाती। हमको हमेशा से सिखाया जाता है कि आप अलग हो आप अलग हो, लेकिन ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है। दोनों जेंडर को हर चीज सेम दी गई है, हाथ पैर वगैरह दिल दिमाग सब सेम दिया गया है। तो काम भी हम एक जैसे कर सकते हैं, सोच भी हम एक जैसे कर सकते हैं। और दुनिया के हर काम क्यों ना हो, हर बात क्यों ना हो, हम हर चीज शेयर कर सकते हैं और कर सकते हैं। तो हमको ऐसा नहीं सोचना चाहिए नहीं तुम लड़की हो तो तुम कमजोर हो, तुम मर्द हो तो हाँ तुम ताकतवर हो तुम घर चला सकते हो, ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है। मर्द और दोनों में बराबर ही दी गई है। बस एक ये है कि हाँ हम ज्यादा समाज का सोचते हैं, हम अपना नहीं सोचते हैं। तो मुझे लगता है कि सबको सोचना चाहिए अपने बारे में भी और दूसरों के भी बारे में। ये ना क्यों कि जो हमको समाज ने पता है बस उसकी तरह ही चलते जाओ। हम पहले देखें कि एग्जैक्टली हम आए क्यों है, क्यों आए हैं, क्यों ये सब कर रहे हैं। जब हम खुद जानेंगे तब हमको एक जिंदगी जीने का तरीका सलीका जो होता है वो पता चलेगा, ना कि हमने जो बुजुर्गों लोग से सुना वही करते चलेंगे तो फिर आगे की दुनिया नहीं बढ़ेगी। लेकिन हमको जो हम अलग करेंगे तब दुनिया अलग करेगी। अगर हम उनके जैसे करेंगे तो कोई कुछ अलग नहीं करेगा। तो उससे अच्छा है कि हम उससे हटके करें। अगर वो 2 कर रहे हैं तो हमको 4 करना चाहिए। तो इस तरह से चेंजिंग लाया जाएगा। और मुझे लगता है कि अभी मैं जैसे देखती हूँ कि हाँ चेंज आ रहा है चेंज आ रहा है। क्योंकि अगर हम अभी से ही सबको बच्चों लोग को यूथ लोग को अभी से इन सब की जानकारी देंगे, जो इक्वालिटी है वो सब बताएंगे, तो इंशाल्लाह सब अभी आगे ठीक होते जाएगा।
Thank you so much,
I
Dr.
would want
Shishma.
to say, Adelina,
Yes.
Azmati has recently made her sister join MENA. उन्होंने सिर्फ ऐसा कहा है कि आप बस MENA में आके बैठा करो, बिकॉज शी फील्स दैट एक दूसरे का कॉन्वर्सेशन सुन के एक दूसरे की बातें सुन के काफ़ी सारा उनकी बहन भी सीखेगी। और अजमती का खुद में भी बहुत ज़्यादा चेंज है। तो व्हेन शी स्टार्टेड मेंस्ट्रुएटिंग, जब उसका पीरियड आया था, अजमती वो चीज़ शेयर करना चाहोगे आप?
हाँ बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। जो ये फर्स्ट जैसे कि मुझे जब पीरियड आया था तो मैं मेरे घर पे ही बताती हूँ, मेरे घर में ही था ऐसा कि मम्मी भी उसके बारे में नहीं बात कर रही है। पीरियड के बारे में मम्मी भी नहीं बात कर रही। हाँ बस मुझे बता दिया कि तो ये कपड़ा है, ये आप इसको ऐसे लगा लो, जब ये आपको 7 दिन 5 दिन जितने भी दिन आएंगे तो ये कपड़ा लगाना है, आपको धोना है, फिर इसको सुखा के फिर बाद में ऐसे करके चेंज करके ये ऐसा होना है। मैं अब मुझे बहुत दर्द होता था। फिर मेरे को उसी के बारे में ध्यान देता था ये क्यों आ रहा है। फिर मैं सोचती थी शायद से ये लड़के लोग को भी आता होगा, सबको आता है। तो मैं ऐसे सोच सोच के फिर जब इतने दिन गुजर गए फिर समझ में आ गया कि हाँ अब तो ये पूरी जिंदगी रहने वाला है। लेकिन मुझे हर महीने टेंशन होता था क्योंकि इसको साथ बहुत दर्द रहता था। मैं बोलती थी अरे ये क्या है बार बार आ जाता है और इतना दर्द होता है, ये क्यों आता है क्यों आता है। मुझे ये सवाल बस ऐसे ही आता था कि क्यों आता है ये। लेकिन मुझे सच में दिल से बहुत अच्छा लगता है कि मैना महिला फाउंडेशन ने पीरियड के बारे में जो सही है वो बताया। तो मैंने सेशन अटेंड किया तो उसमें आने का रीजन बताया कि पीरियड क्यों आते हैं। अच्छा बेबी होने के लिए पीरियड आता है, मुझे लगता था ऐसे ही शायद आते हैं। क्योंकि मुझे हम लोग के घर में ऐसे बताया गया था पीरियड आया है तो अब तुम बड़ी हो गई हो बड़ी हो गई हो बड़ी हो गई हो। ये मैं बहुत सुनती थी बड़ी हो गई हो तुम तो अब तुम बाहर नहीं जाओगी खेलने, लड़के लोग से बात नहीं करना है, आजू वाले के घर में नहीं जाना है, बाजू वाले के घर नहीं जाना है, ये दाग लग जाएगा तो ये हो जाएगा तो ये नहीं छूना है, ये नहीं इतना सारा था। हाँ अचार भी खराब हो जाता है, ये मेरे भी घर में था कि अचार भी खराब हो जाता है तो मैं फिर चम्मच से लेती थी हाथ से नहीं लेती। फिर मेरी दादी कहती थी हाँ ये तो सबको आते रहता है, ये परेशानी है ये तो फिर उसके बाद जब मैं महिला फाउंडेशन में आई मैंने पूरा सीखा पढ़ा देखा कि ये क्यों आता है। फिर मुझे इतना सारा पता चला, तो फिर मैं चुपचाप नहीं रहने लगी। मैं मेरे घर में भी बताने लगी, मेरी बहन लोग को बताने लगी, देखो पीरियड इसके लिए आता है, अपन इतना शर्माते हैं बात करने के लिए, क्यों शर्माने का, ये अपनी नेचुरल चीज है। तो पैड छुपा कर, और मेरे घर में पहले था कि मैं तो कभी देखी भी नहीं थी बचपन में कि पैड वैड रहता है या कपड़ा रहता है, मैंने कभी नहीं देखी। जब मुझे आया तब मैं देखती थी, अच्छा ये इसलिए रखते थे। फिर मेरे घर में छुपा छुपा के वो बाथरूम में या फिर वॉशरूम में किधर भी ऐसे छुपा छुपा के टॉवल के नीचे रहता था, कपड़ा के नीचे रहता था। लेकिन अब भी जब से मैंने मैना महिला फाउंडेशन ज्वाइन किया, मेरे अंदर इतना ये हौसला आया है कि नहीं, ये हमारी जरूरत की चीज है, मैं इसको सामने ही रखूंगी। मेरा अब्बा भी चाहे देखे या मेरे भाई भी देखे, तो वो देखना चाहिए कि ये हमको आता है। और हमको ये जो हर महीने में जो बीमार पड़ जाती हूँ और एकदम से लेटी रहती हूँ, क्यों लेटी रहती हूँ, उनको पता चलना चाहिए कि मुझे पीरियड में दर्द होता है, इसके लिए मैं लेटे रहती हूँ। अब मेरे अब्बा के सामने भी बोलते हैं, हाँ हमको पैड मिला है, इधर पैड बनता है, मेरे पास पैड है, हम पैड लेके जा रहे हैं, सब पैड पैड में घर में बोलते रहती हूँ। तो मुझे खुद में अच्छा लगता है कि अब मेरे घर वाले, मेरे बहन लोग भी पहले बहुत शर्माते थे। मेरी जो रजिया अभी आती है, वो तो बिल्कुल बोलते थे, ये क्या है बाजी, जब देखो ये बोलते रहती है, चुप ना, ये सब नहीं बोलने का नहीं। मैंने क्यों नहीं बोलने का, अब वो भी बोलती है। मैं खुद मेरे घर में देखती हूँ कि मेरी अम्मी भी बात करती है, मेरी बहन लोग भी बोलते हैं, तो मुझे खुद ही अच्छा लगता है कि हाँ कम से कम मेरे घर में तो चेंज आया। और मैं उनको बताती हूँ कि कुरान में इसके लिए नमाज पढ़ने से रोका गया। मैंने महिला फाउंडेशन के अलावा भी मेरे मदरसे में भी उनको बताया कि हम क्यों नापाक रहते हैं, क्यों नहीं पढ़ना चाहिए, ये मैंने मदरसे में भी बताया। तो फिर मुझे अब अच्छा लगता है कि हाँ मेरी वजह से लोगों को गलत इंफॉर्मेशन से बचे लोगों ने, क्योंकि हम अभी तक गलत ही सुनते आए हैं कि हम नापाक रहते हैं, हमारा खून नापाक रहता है। ये तो बहुत ही गलत बात है कि वो खून जिससे बच्चे को पोषण मिलता है, उससे उसको सुरक्षा मिलती है, उस चीज को हम नापाक बोले, गंदा बोले। ये तो बहुत ही, मुझे खुद में ऐसा लगता है कि हम उस चीज से पैदा हुए हैं और उस चीज में फरिश्ते ने दुआएं देखी गई है, वो चीज नापाक और गंदी कैसे हो सकती है। तो ये बात मैंने मेरे मदरसे वालों को भी बताया कि आप, या और मैंने मेरे चाची सबको बताया कि ये गलत बात हमको आगे नहीं फैलानी है, कि ये जो खून है वो गंदा है। तो अभी जितने भी मेरे कांटेक्ट में, वो सब जानते हैं कि मैं मैना महिला फाउंडेशन में काम करती हूँ, मैं वहाँ उससे जुड़ी हुई हूँ। तो फिर अभी ऐसी बातें मैं ज्यादा सुनने को नहीं मिलती मुझे। तो मुझे अब अच्छा लगता है कि मेरे घर में ही बदलाव हो गया है। तो थैंक्स टू मैना, कि मैना की वजह से मुझे इतना पीरियड के बारे में पता चला है। और मैं और आगे सीखते ही जा रही हूँ, सीखते ही जा रही हूँ। तो मुझे हर दिन अब अच्छा लगता है कि मैं रोज नया नया सीख रही हूँ। तो श्रद्धा दीदी को भी बहुत थैंक यू कि वो मुझे हमेशा सपोर्ट भी करते हैं। उनसे मैंने बहुत सारी बातें सीखी है कि अपने काम में कैसे होनेस्टी लाना है, अपने काम को कैसे, अपने आप को इम्प्रूव करना है। तो मैं डॉक्टर श्रद्धा को भी थैंक यू कहती हूँ, और मैना महिला फाउंडेशन।
Thank you so much, Asmati. Thank you so much. मुझे इतना खुशी हुई जब मुझे सुनने को मिला कि आपको देख के आपके सिस्टर भी इतना इंस्पायर हुए। एंड व्हाट यू सेड, इट्स रियली ट्रू। बी द चेंज यू विश टू सी इन द वर्ल्ड। पहले खुद में वो चेंजेस लेके आ रहे हैं ताकि वो हम दूसरों में भी वो चेंजेस लेके आए। एंड क्योंकि हमने हमने बहुत से चैलेंजेस के बारे में बात किया कि लोग हम एज अ सोसाइटी हम कैसे इम्प्रूव हो सकते हैं। लेकिन बाय द एंड ऑफ द डे इट्स ग्रेट टू सी दैट कि जो हमारे जो एनजीओ यहाँ पर प्रेजेंट है, आप खुद कैसे आपके in your own way are bringing about these changes in your own communities, in your families, in your homes. So thank you so much, Asmati. We can now conclude by thanking Dr. Shraddha, Asmati, Priya. Unfortunately, Priya, Jyotika, and unfortunately, Priya had to kind of like drop out. But in case of any kind of queries that anyone has, you could please share it in our feedback form. And thank you so much to all our panelists. We had gathered really excellent insights today. And thank you to all our attendees for joining us for the session and for being a wonderful audience. I request you to please fill the feedback form as it will help us curate many more sessions like these. My team member Aishwarya will be sharing the link to the form in the chat box right now. As mentioned earlier, if you have any questions that you'd like to be answered in from this particular session, please put your queries in the feedback form and we can request our speakers to answer the questions offline. We hope to see you all for a webinar workshop on graphic designing. This webinar we organized in collaboration with Shabang and is scheduled for 24th March 2021. The details of this thing will also be shared with you all via email and via the chat box. Thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful evening and happy Women's Day.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank
you
you.
so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so
Bye.
much, everyone, for joining. Thank you.
Thank you.